Miss Madden, you've been present in the courtroom for the entire trial, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And if I ask any question that you do not understand, would you please tell me and I'll try to rephrase it?
Yes, sir.
Were you here when Miss Reese testified about you and her smoking marijuana at apartment 321 Raiders Crossing on March the 2nd?
Yes, sir.
And did you hear her say that the way that you make a blunt is to take a cigar, cut it, and remove all the tobacco?
Yes, sir.
And then put marijuana in it and then roll it back up?
Yes, sir.
And did you hear her testify that you were the one that did that?
Yes, sir.
What knife did you use to cut that blunt?
I didn't use a knife. I used my fingers.
Used your fingers?
Yes, sir. The way I did it, I leaked on it and broke it apart with my fingers.
So Miss Reese was wrong when she said that you cut it?
No, I didn't cut it. You didn't have to use a knife. You can use a razor. Most people use the razor.
Yes, sir.
Or they fingers, and I just did my fingers that day.
Okay. So you just used your fingers?
Yes, sir.
Now, you also testified that you came to MTSU in August
Yes, sir.
and moved into your apartment. Do you remember about when that was?
It was the first day of school.
And would that be around the middle of August?
The end of August.
End of August. And you had, the lease to that apartment had been signed sometime back in May.
Yes, sir.
And at the time you signed that lease, you said you were 17.
Yes, sir, I was.
And your mother also signed it.
Yes, sir.
But at the time you moved in, you were 18, were you not?
Yes, sir, I was.
Because your birthday would have been on June the 10th.
Yes, sir.
So it would have been some 2 months after your birthday that you moved in.
Yes, sir.
And when did you first meet Miss Stewart?
That day that I was in the apartment, the first day I moved in.
And you told Mr. Brandon that everything for the fall semester went fine.
Yes, sir, I did.
September, October, November, and part of December that you were there.
Yes, sir.
And was Mr. Anuna coming over at that time?
They would split up days where he would come over to her place and she'd go to his.
Okay. Was he coming over every day like he testified?
Not every day in the fall semester.
And did you know where he lived?
No, sir, I did not.
Now, you also said that problems started in the spring semester.
Yes, sir.
And those were because of Mr. Anuna.
Yes, sir.
And when did you first complain about that?
To the office?
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't complain first. My mother complained first on the 17th of January, I believe.
Okay.
And then I called when she told me that they needed me to talk to them.
Okay. And who did you call?
I talked to Miss Jessica.
Do you know her last name by any chance?
No, sir.
But you know that her first name is Jessica and that she's an employee of Raiders Crossing's apartments,
yes,
that
sir.
company. And where did you said you called her? Where did you call her?
I called her in between my first and second class. I had just got through with my first class, and I called her before I went to my second one.
And but I mean, the location she would have been.
I was
the office.
Where did I call her?
Yes.
I called her. She was at the office, and I was on campus.
Okay, and you had a conversation with her.
Yes, sir.
Did you ever go to the office?
That day.
And you talked with her?
Yes, sir.
And what did you tell her?
I told her that, well, she addressed to me that my mother called her, and I just told her what my mother told her and what I felt about KC being there every day.
And did she offer to have a meeting with you and Miss Stewart?
I requested that she had a meeting with us together instead of talk by ourselves.
So you wanted to have a meeting with all three of them?
Yes, sir.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And did she call Miss Stewart?
Yes, sir, she did.
And did she get her?
No, sir, she didn't.
And did she call her again while you were there?
She didn't. She waited till I left, and then she said she was going to call her again.
And did you ever have that meeting?
No, sir, we didn't.
Now, and that would have been on Friday,
Yes, sir.
as best you recall.
Yes, sir.
And then, did you see Miss Jessica on the following Monday?
I called her that following Monday. I didn't go to the office.
Okay. And what did you tell her?
I told her that I did talk to Tina, like she said I should have, and that everything was fine.
And it's your recollection this was 17th of January.
Yes, sir.
You're sure about that?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever seen this document?
No, sir, I hadn't.
And I'm going to go down here. It shows the date of Monday, January the 10th. You've never seen that?
No, sir.
Would it surprise you to know that this is a document that was prepared by Miss Jessica?
Yes, sir.
Would it surprise you to know that she says that the meeting that you had with her about Ms. Stewart and the problem you were having took place on January the 7th of 2011?
I wasn't aware. I wasn't aware
You wasn't aware of what?
of the date that she had.
Okay. And would it surprise you to know that this document states that you came to the office about a problem you were having, issues you were having with Ms. Stewart, and the issue was that you were experiencing overages on the electricity due to Ms. Stewart constantly changing the thermostat?
No, sir, I'm not aware of it.
Did you ever complain about the thermostat being changed?
The day that I did talk to her, I did, along with Casey, problems.
Okay. But you didn't tell us about that earlier. But you now recall that you discussed the problems of the thermostat being changed by Ms. Stewart.
Yes, sir. My main problem that day wasn't the thermostat issue. I just felt uncomfortable with Casey being there.
When did you have the conversation with Ms. Stewart about Casey coming over?
It was the 17th, that Friday of January. That was the same day after I talked to the
Whatever
office.
day it was on a Friday.
Yes, sir.
And it was after you had gone to the office and talked to Miss Jessica.
Yes, sir.
And then you saw Tina later on and you talked to her about Mr. Anuna coming over too much.
Yes, sir.
Now, I showed you also that this document shows this date of Monday, January the 10th, 2011, but it says Shanterrica came into the office and asked her did she have a chance to speak with Clantina about the issues in the apartment. Shanterrica stated she did speak with Clantina and everything was fine and they were going to work on the issues. Would that be an accurate reflection of what had happened and what you told Miss Jessica?
Over the phone, I did.
Okay. So the part about you coming in the office would be wrong.
Yes, sir.
But the part about you speaking to Miss Stewart would be right.
Yes, sir.
Now, you say this was January the 17th. You would agree with me that Miss Jessica wouldn't make a memo and date it some 10 days prior to something happening because you wouldn't know what had happened, would you?
No, sir, she wouldn't.
And you've been in court and you know that on the weekend of January the 7th, 2011, that Miss Stewart was in Lafayette, Louisiana.
Yes, sir, I do.
And you could not have had a conversation with her that Friday.
No, sir, I couldn't because I probably wasn't there either. School hadn't started yet.
And you can't explain why this shows that all this happened on that weekend?
No, sir, I can't.
Now, in any event, when did you decide that you, well, let me ask you this. How many times did Mr. Anuna spend the night?
Too many to count.
Too many to count.
Yes, sir.
He basically lived there, is that what you're saying?
Pretty much.
And took showers there?
I'm not sure about the showers.
You don't know about that?
No, sir.
Well, where did he keep his clothes over there?
I take it was in Tina's room, and that he was always in there.
And he was always in there?
Yes, sir.
He didn't come out to the common area?
They didn't come out to the common area unless they were leaving or coming to get something to eat or drink.
But he stayed over there too many times to count?
Yes, sir.
And you've been in here for the introduction of all the photographs in this case, have you not?
Yes, sir.
Have you seen one piece of clothing that belonged to a man in that apartment?
No, sir, I have not.
Have you seen any toilet items that would belong to a man in that apartment?
No, sir, I have not.
Shave or shaving cream or anything like that?
No, sir, I have not.
And you heard Mr. Newman testify that he may have stayed over there 3 or 4 times, and specifically he recalls staying on Valentine's Day.
Yes, sir. At that time, I wasn't at the apartment.
Okay. So you dispute, though, his testimony that he'd only stayed over there 3 or 4 times.
Yes, sir, I do.
But in any event, when he was over there, they were pretty much in Miss Stewart's bedroom.
Yes, sir.
Now, when did you start staying at Carlicia's, Caldwell's room in Corlew Dormitory?
The beginning of February, end of January.
And would you smoke marijuana in her room?
No, sir, I wouldn't.
Where did you smoke marijuana if you smoked?
We'll be in the car or in somebody else's place.
Okay. And you told us that you only smoked marijuana on one other occasion at the apartment.
Yes, sir.
And you said, if I got it right, that you smoked marijuana in the apartment one other time with a friend.
Yes, sir.
What's that friend's name?
Danny Johnson.
Who?
Danny Johnson.
Danny Johnson?
Yes, sir.
Is that a male?
Yes, sir.
Was he an MTSU student?
No, sir, he was not.
How did you know Mr. Johnson?
We had just reconnected that following 2-3 weeks before because we hadn't seen each other. He used to work with the non-profit organizations that I worked with.
In Memphis?
Yes, sir.
And where did that marijuana come from?
That was his.
And did you smoke it in a blunt?
Yes, sir.
And did you prepare the blunt?
No, sir, I didn't.
Did he?
Yes, sir.
Did he do it there at the apartment?
Yes, sir.
What knife did he use to prepare that blunt?
He didn't use a knife.
What did he use?
His fingers.
And Miss Stewart was present when that happened?
She came in after that was all did.
Okay. Was Mr. Anuna with her?
Yes, sir.
And what did she say to you?
She didn't say anything about the marijuana. She just told me if somebody came to the door, like a coach or a friend, that she wasn't there.
Okay. So, what you're telling this jury is that Miss Stewart had never complained to you about smoking marijuana in the apartment?
No, sir, she hadn't.
How come you didn't come over and smoke it all the time then?
Most of the time, I would stay on campus with Carlicia, or I wouldn't smoke it there.
Now, when you were staying at Carlicia's, when did you start staying there?
The beginning of February, the end of January.
The end of January or the beginning of February?
Yes, sir.
So after you had told Miss Jessica on January what would have been, if Friday was the 17th, what would have been January the 20th, that everything was okay, some week to 10 days later, you telling us you had left the apartment and started staying with Miss Caldwell?
Yes, sir.
And Miss Caldwell didn't have any objection to you staying over there?
No, sir, she didn't.
And none of her suite mates or quad mates or whatever that's called had any objection to your knowledge?
No, sir.
Where did you sleep over there?
Carlicia had an extra bedroom in her room, so I would just sleep on the bedroom.
Okay. And did Miss Reese live in one of those rooms?
She stayed to the left of Carlicia. If you go up a couple of feet, she was on the left.
Okay. And then who was the other person that stayed there?
With Renee.
Yes.
A classmate of mine back in Memphis. Her name was Brittany.
Brittany?
Yes, sir.
So you knew her?
I knew Brittany.
And did you know Miss Reese?
I didn't know her. I knew her at the time,
Yeah.
but we weren't close.
And I believe you told us that you met her earlier back in the fall semester.
Yes, sir.
And also, did you know, how did you know Carlisha?
Me and Carlisha took class together. We took university seminar the fall semester.
So you met her also at MTSU?
Yes, sir.
Now, so you were staying over there and you would go back to your apartment from time to time to get clothing
And food.
and food. And you mentioned that on this particular day, March the 2nd, that you had stayed at Carlisha's the previous 2 nights. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
That'd be Monday and Tuesday.
Yes, sir.
Where did you stay that weekend prior?
I was with Carlisha.
So you stayed the whole time.
Yes, sir.
When was the last time you spent the night in your apartment?
Probably had been a week before, probably like a Wednesday or Thursday the week before.
And was Miss Stewart there?
She came in later that day.
Was Mr. Newman with her?
He came in later that day.
And after you got up on March the 2nd, tell us what you did again.
After I woke up that day at Carlisha's, I got up like normal, went to class, got something to eat, did a little work, went to the library, and met up with Renee as I was going back to the dorm.
Okay. And when you say you got something to eat, where did you eat?
Subway on campus. Subway on campus.
You didn't go back to your apartment and eat?
No, sir.
When was the last time you ate a meal in your apartment?
I hadn't. When I went to the apartment, I would probably already had ate on campus. So I just go back to the apartment and go to sleep.
Okay. So you didn't cook at the apartment anymore?
No, sir, I didn't.
You were eating out?
Yes, sir.
And you've seen the photograph of the dishes
Yes, sir.
by the sink.
Yes, sir.
You didn't dirty those dishes?
No, sir.
You don't know who did?
No, sir.
Were they there when you arrived in the apartment on March the 2nd, the way that photograph shows?
Yes, sir.
And you never ate anything while you were there?
No, sir, I didn't.
Now, you said you saw Miss Reese back on campus,
Yes, sir.
and that you and Miss Reese were going to get something to eat.
Yes, sir, we did.
What time of day was this?
Just around the afternoon, probably about 3 or 4 o'clock.
So what time had you eaten earlier?
I hadn't eaten earlier.
You hadn't?
No, sir.
What about the Subway on campus?
That's when I was going to get something to eat with Renee.
Well, so y'all did go get something to eat.
Yes, sir.
I thought you said that you were going to get something to eat, but instead you went and bought marijuana.
That was with Renee. I went to
I
get
know who
something.
it was with, but I thought you told Mr. Brandon that you and Renee were going to get something to eat, but decided to go buy marijuana instead.
Oh, we were going to go, me and Renee were going to get something to eat, but I ate Subway prior to going to my next class. I had 2 classes, and I ate Subway that day before I went to that class. Normally going to class, I would go to class. I had 2 classes. I have a break. I go get something to eat and take that food with me to the library.
Okay.
And do work and eat at the same time.
All right. This was a Wednesday. What 2 classes did you have that day?
English and music.
And what time was that?
One was at 9:10 and the other one was at 10:15, 10:30.
And so you're telling us that after you had your 10:30 class, you went and got something to eat
Yes, sir.
at Subway,
Yes, sir.
and then you went to the library,
Yes, sir.
and you stayed at the library until about 3?
Until my next class. I had a class at like 1, 2 o'clock.
Okay. And you went to that class,
Yes, sir.
coming back from that class, and that's when you saw Renee,
Yes, sir.
about 3 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
And then you and Renee were going to go get something to eat again?
Yes, sir.
So you were going back to Subway with Renee?
We didn't go to Subway that day. We went to the other department in the school that had the other variety of food inside. And she wanted Chick-fil-A.
She wanted Chick-fil-A. What did you eat?
I ate some nuggets from Chick-fil-A.
And so you ate about 10:30 or 11, And
Yes,
you
sir.
ate about 3 or 3:30 again.
Yes, sir.
And then you left to go buy marijuana.
Yes, sir.
But now, you didn't tell us about eating with Miss Reese earlier, did you? This is the first time you told us that today.
I believe so.
And where did you go buy the marijuana?
On campus.
And pretty big campus, what building?
One of the apartments on campus, in the area of the subway and the library.
And whose apartment was it?
It was a friend of Renee's. I'm not sure his name.
Male or female?
A male.
Do you know that person's name?
No, sir.
Had you ever been there before?
No, sir.
On the other occasions when you would smoke marijuana out in the car or somewhere else, where would that marijuana come from?
It would be from the person that I was with at the time. Most of the time, it would be with somebody from another college.
And how much did you and Miss Reese pay for the marijuana?
$10.
And did you split it, $5 apiece?
No, sir. She paid for it because I didn't have any money on me at the time.
You'd spend it all at the Subway?
No, sir. I hadn't went to the bank.
Okay. So when you went to Subway or Chick-fil-A, you didn't use cash, you used a...
My MTSU card.
Okay. And do you know how much marijuana you got for $10?
It was just one little bag.
And was it like a corner of a baggie?
Yes, sir.
And then where did you and Miss Reese go?
We went to my apartment. Well, before we got to the apartment, we walked to the corner store before you get to my apartment. And it took about 5 to 10 minutes to get to the apartment.
And you bought the cigars?
The cigars along with the Black and Mild.
Okay. Now, I thought Black and Mild was a type of cigar.
Yes, sir, it is.
And so did you buy another brand or another flavor also?
Yes, sir, to roll the marijuana in
Oh, and you were just going to smoke the Black and Milds as cigars
after we got done with the marijuana.
after you got done with the marijuana?
Yes, sir.
And were you in the habit of smoking cigars?
No, sir.
Would this have been the first time you'd ever smoked a Black and Mild cigar without marijuana in it?
Yes, sir.
And those are the cigars that we've seen in these photographs.
Yes, sir.
After you bought these items at the store, and I believe you don't remember which store it was, or do you?
It was the corner store on the corner across from the MTSU parking lot.
And the Quick Sack,
I'm not sure the name.
okay. Do you remember whether it was blue or yellow?
No, sir.
You don't remember?
No, sir.
It wasn't at the corner of Middle Tennessee Boulevard and Greenland Drive, was it?
I'm not sure the street. It's from across the street from the football field.
Okay. All right. And then you walked from there to your apartment.
Yes, sir.
And about how far would that be?
A 5 to 10 minute walk.
Okay. And did you smoke any marijuana on the way?
No, sir, we didn't.
Because you didn't have the blunt holiday.
No, sir, we didn't have it, so we didn't smoke it.
And do you know why you told Detective Taylor here that in your statement to him on the evening of March the 2nd, 2011, that you didn't smoke any marijuana in your apartment, but you smoked it while you were walking to your apartment? Do you know why you told him that if that didn't happen?
We didn't smoke the marijuana on the way to the apartment. We smoked the Black and Milds on the way to the apartment.
Yes, ma'am, but I'm asking about marijuana. Do you know why you told Detective Taylor that you smoked marijuana on the way to the apartment and you did not smoke marijuana in the apartment?
No, sir, I do not.
But it wasn't true, was it?
No, sir.
And you saw yourself on that screen right up there telling him that, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
And when you got to your apartment and went in, you said those dirty dishes were all there.
Yes, sir, it was.
And would you say that the photographs that had been introduced accurately depict the condition of the apartment when you got there?
Yes, sir.
And let me ask you, what was the first thing that you and Miss Reese did?
When we went to my room, and I got some clothes and put in the washing machine, and Then I went back into the room, and then we rolled the marijuana blunt and smoked it.
And tell me where you got the clothes.
I had some clothes sitting on my floor in my closet that I hadn't washed, I hadn't been there, and I took them to the washing machine and washed them.
Okay. And you also told Mr. Brandon, I believe, that you did not know anybody was there.
No, sir, I didn't.
Had you known Ms. Stewart was there, would you have smoked the marijuana?
I would have stopped. I would have stopped
Why?
to be respectful to her.
But you said that she had never asked you or said anything to you about smoking marijuana in the apartment.
No, she didn't.
Well, then why would you think that it would be respectful for you not to smoke it if she wasn't concerned about it?
Just to be respectful, I just would have did it.
But you did it the other time she was there.
We had been done after she came in.
Did you open the window,
Yes, sir, the window was open.
just like Ms. Reese testified?
Yes, sir.
And did you smoke the entire blunt?
It was a roach left in the ashtray.
And tell us what a roach is.
A roach could be just a small piece of marijuana left in the cigar or nothing left in it.
Or nothing left in it.
Yes, sir.
And it would have, that cigar paper is brown in it.
Yes, sir.
And you heard Officer Jensen testify that he found a roach.
Yes, sir.
And you heard him testify that it was a piece of brown paper.
Yes, sir.
And he said it didn't have marijuana in it.
Yes, sir.
Did it?
We had smoked all of it, so there was just it wasn't nothing left in it. It was just a roach.
And you wouldn't want to have been arrested for being in possession of cigar paper, would you?
No, sir.
Well, do you fault Officer Jensen for not arresting you for having a piece of paper?
No, sir, I do not.
Did you tell Mr. Brandon that he should have arrested you?
If it was marijuana in there, I think he would have.
Yeah, exactly. And so you can't dispute his testimony that there was no marijuana and he didn't smell any marijuana in that roach.
No, sir, I couldn't.
And do you know why Mr. Brandon made a big deal out of that he didn't arrest you? You don't know, do you?
No, sir.
And he did find, and you did cooperate with him, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
And he did find the tobacco
Shavings
in
in
the
the
garbage
trash.
can, the shavings.
Yes, sir.
And I believe you told us that your testimony is that he told you or Miss Reese to flush the roach.
Yes, sir.
Is it possible that he said get rid of it? And
No, sir.
Miss Reese is the one that flushed it?
No, sir, he said flush the
All right, so
roach.
he told a lie when he testified otherwise.
That's what I remember him saying. He said flush the roach.
Okay. And he asked you to take the garbage out.
Yes, sir, he did.
And did you do that?
Yes, sir, I did.
And did he go with you?
Yes, sir, he did.
And where did you take it?
I took it to the dumpster in front of the apartment.
And I'm looking here at exhibit number 181, and do you see what's marked on here as apartment 321?
Yes, sir.
And do you see this dumpster?
Yes, sir.
Is that the dumpster you took it to with the Officer Jensen walking with you?
Yes, sir.
So that was was that your first trip to that dumpster that day?
That day since I've been there, yes, sir.
Had you ever been to that dumpster before?
Normally, if I'm walking that way to throw trash away, I would.
Well, there's another place you can throw trash away too, in.
I threw it in that one too as well.
And where is he?
On the other side of the apartment.
Somewhere over in here.
Yes, sir.
It's much closer to your apartment, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And would you agree with me that this dumpster after the officer, let me ask you this. You said the officer came, knocked on the door, you opened the door, Miss Reese was in the kitchen.
Yes, sir, she was.
And what was she doing?
Getting something to eat and drink.
And I believe you heard her testify she was getting some kind of a Nutri-Bar, candy bar, or
A granola bar.
granola bar, and some Sunny D.
Yes, sir.
Now tell us what Sunny D is.
Sunny D is orange juice.
And did you see the picture that showed what appears to be an orange drink in the refrigerator?
Yes, sir.
And was that your Sunny D orange drink?
Yes, sir.
And where did the the granola bar come from?
They will be in the cabinet by the stove.
Okay. And was that your granola bar?
Yes, sir.
And when you opened the door and Officer Jensen came in, Miss Reese headed back to the bedroom,
Yes, sir. She ran back to the bedroom.
and Officer Jensen asked her to come back out.
Yes, sir.
And is that when you saw Miss Stewart also coming up the hall or standing in the hall?
She came up the hall when she heard him into the doorway.
Okay, and you said she was smirking.
Yes, sir.
What does that mean?
Like she knew that she was the one that did it, or she was smiling because she was happy that he was there.
Yeah. She looked at you when she did that.
Yes, sir.
And did you hear the officer tell her to go back to her room?
No, sir, I didn't.
You did not?
No, sir.
Did she go back to her room?
No, sir.
What'd she do?
When he checked my room, she was standing in her doorway looking in as he was checking.
Okay, but she was in the doorway to her room.
The door wasn't open, it was closed, so she was leaning on the door watching him check my room.
Okay. And so she watched the officer search the room.
Yes, sir.
Did the officer search her room?
No, sir.
You knew that that's who had called, didn't you?
I figured she was the one who called.
Pardon?
I figured she was the one who called.
Okay. And the officer left.
Yes, sir.
After you went to the, when you went to the dumpster, he left you at the dumpster, didn't he?
He walked me back in between the parking lot, but he didn't leave me at the dumpster.
Okay. But he didn't, I guess what I'm trying to ask you, he didn't come back up to the room.
Oh, no, sir.
And you went back up 3 flights of steps,
Yes, sir.
and tell us what you did.
My first instinct was to leave, but I didn't want to leave the situation like that, so I did go knock on Tina's door to talk to her.
And what situation?
I didn't want her to be mad at me about me smoking or in a situation like that. I didn't want to have roommate problems. I wanted her not to be mad at me.
Well, I mean, you already had a roommate problem.
Yes, sir, I did.
So what difference did it make?
It concerned me the first time. That's one reason why I didn't want to be there. That's why I hadn't been there. I didn't want to feel like I wasn't welcome in my own place, like she didn't like me.
Right. So my point is, you'd already made the decision to move in or stay at Carlicia's.
Yes, sir.
You already had roommate problems.
Yes, sir.
My question to you, what good would that have done?
Even though she would know that I was concerned about our roommate issues, that we weren't getting along at the time.
Would she not know that from the fact that you never stayed there?
No, I don't think she would have. She probably wasn't thinking like that. She probably wasn't thinking that I was uncomfortable with not being there. I think she just probably thought I was gone and I would come back from time to time.
You don't know why Miss Reese would tell this jury that when you came back upstairs and headed down the hall to Miss Stewart's room, you were mad, do you?
No, sir, because I was not mad.
You weren't mad, were you?
No, I was frustrated, but I wasn't mad.
What were you frustrated about?
About the whole ordeal. We agreed to talk to each other after the first time.
Right. And so you went back there and you put your hand on the doorknob
Yes, sir.
and you turned it and found it was locked.
No, I didn't turn it. I just put my hand on the door.
Why would you put your hand on the door?
That's just the reaction I do when I'm at a door.
In other words, you put your hand on the doorknob and then knock?
Yes, sir.
Always?
Always.
So that's not unusual.
No, sir.
And you did knock,
Yes, I did.
and she opened the door.
Yes, sir.
Do you know whether it was locked or not?
No, sir, I'm not sure.
You don't know.
No, sir.
Do you know why you told Detective Taylor on March 2nd, 2010 in your videotape interview that I knock on the door, on her door, okay, and my hand was on the doorknob, waiting for the other side to twist it because it was locked. So I just kind of held my hand onto the doorknob. Mr. Taylor says, okay, and she unlocked it and I opened it.
No, sir, I'm not sure.
But what you're telling us today is when you told Detective Taylor that wasn't true?
During that time I was so nervous that I was just writing as much as I could or tried to remember everything, and I had more time to think about it after this.
But, so you say today that Miss Stewart opened the door.
Yes, sir.
And what did you do then?
I asked her why did she call the office on me instead of talking to me about it.
So, your first statement to her was, why did you call the officer on me instead of talking about it?
Yes, sir.
And what did she say?
And she said, why did you call the office on me back in January?
Okay, and then what did you say?
I kind of looked at her because I thought we had solved the issue, that we talked about it, and that it was over with.
But what did you say?
Nothing after that.
You didn't say anything?
No, because she told me to leave.
Right. She told you to leave.
Yes, sir.
So the only conversation you had the entire time you were in her room is you said, why did you call the officer on me?
Yes, sir.
And that was it. That's all you said.
As far as I remember, yes, sir.
So when she opened the door, you did not say, I'm really sorry, I didn't know you were here. I'm sorry I was smoking marijuana in the room. I really want to try to solve this problem so we can get along with each other. Like you told us was your reason for going back there.
That was my reason, but I didn't
But
say
you
that.
didn't say that, did you?
No, sir.
What you said is, why'd you call the police on me?
Yes, sir.
And that's consistent with being mad.
Frustrated, I wouldn't say mad.
Well, you don't deny that Miss Reese said that you were upset and mad, and she could tell by your body language, and that on your way from the front door back to Miss Stewart's room, you didn't say anything to her.
I didn't talk to her, I just looked at her.
Right, you went straight to the door, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
And she asked you to leave.
Yes, sir.
Were you inside the room?
We were face to face at that point.
Face to face, and you were inside of her room.
Yes, sir.
And your back would have been to the open door,
Yes, sir.
and her back would have been to the wall, the far wall of her bedroom.
Yes, sir.
And no way you had to go around her to get out.
No, sir.
And you turned around and started walking out, and she pushed you.
Yes, sir.
If she wanted you to leave, does that make sense?
No, sir, it did not.
She didn't threaten to whip you, did she? She asked you to leave.
She did.
And you're saying that's what you were trying to do when this fight started?
Yes, sir.
Would it be fair to say that if you turned your back and she pushed you, she would have been pushing you out the door?
She would have.
And was that where the fight started?
Outside my door?
Outside of her door and beside? Yeah.
No, sir. It was still in her room.
It was, how far into her room did you go?
We were still in the doorway.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. How, if you were still in the doorway and turned around and she pushed you, wouldn't that be back into the hall?
We weren't outside the door. We were still in the doorway.
Okay, how far into her room were you?
We were equally in front of the door, in the center part of her door.
Okay. show you what's been marked as exhibit number 6. And I'll ask you to look at that and tell me if you can identify what that diagram depicts.
The apartment.
And you recognize that as the floor plan or the layout of your apartment?
Yes, sir.
And what number exhibit is that, please?
It's number 6, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Let me show you. I'm going to change now and show you exhibit 157, which shows the apartment layout. And do you still recognize that?
Yes, sir.
And would you say that that fairly and accurately depicts how the furniture would have been situated?
Yes, sir.
Do you recognize this as Miss Stewart's room?
Yes, sir.
And do you know this to be her bed,
Yes, sir.
chest of drawers?
Yes, sir.
There's a red chair right here.
Yes, sir.
You've seen those.
Yes, sir.
And her computer desk where the TV and stuff is.
Yes, sir.
And you recognize it as her doorway.
Yes, sir.
Now, can you indicate by pointing on the screen where you were standing when you and Miss Stewart were having this conversation about her calling the police officer on you? Right there.
Yes, sir.
And would that area right there, would both of you been in that circle?
Yes, sir.
And Miss Reese was in your bedroom at that time.
Yes, sir.
Do you know where she was? Sitting on your bed.
Yes, sir.
Could she have seen you from there?
She could see my back, yes.
She could see your back. And so you turned around to leave,
Yes, sir.
and Miss Stewart pushed you.
Yes, sir.
And isn't it true, Miss Madden, that did she push you hard?
It felt like it was hard.
Felt like it was hard. Did you move forward?
Yes, I did.
How far forward did you move?
Probably to about right here.
So you would have been outside of her room.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Whitesell, just for the record, would you mind getting a pen and maybe circling, you can see where you see what I'm saying? Because I want the record to reflect what she's drawn on there.
Yes, sir.
You see what I'm saying? I think just kind of trace them to do the same. And then after you do that, you can confirm with her that's where her circles were drawn. Miss Madden, you can touch that corner of that screen there with that little pen, and that will clear the green off. Just get where you at the right-hand corner. Thank you. Any questions, Mr. Whitesell?
Ms. Madden, do you agree with the markings I've made?
Yes, sir.
And this would be Renee Reese. Right here.
Yes, sir.
Madden and Stewart would have been inside this circle.
Yes, sir.
And this line is where you ended up after being pushed.
Yes, sir.
So, back to my question. At this point, you're outside the room.
Yes, sir.
And you said that you turned around and pushed her back.
Yes, sir.
Why?
I was pushed, so I reacted.
And when you turned around, where did you push her?
About
What part of her body did you push?
her shoulder.
Right in here.
Yes, sir.
Do Do you remember what she had on?
No, sir.
Did you have any problem reaching her shoulders?
Yes, sir, being that I was shorter than her.
You're shorter than she is. And you've told Mr. Brandon you're 4'11".
Yes, sir.
Did you have your shoes on?
Yes, sir.
And would that be the white tennis shoes that we saw in the video when you were at the police department?
Yes, sir.
White athletic shoes or tennis shoes or whatever they're called. What about Miss Stewart? Did she have her shoes on?
I'm not sure.
You don't know.
No, sir.
You haven't seen any items of clothing introduced that indicate she was wearing shoes when this fight took place, have you?
No, sir.
And you did hear the medical personnel testify that they cut off her shirt and her sports bra there in the room.
Yes, sir.
And you would not disagree that the only other articles of clothing were a pair of sweatpants, a pair of underwear, and a pair of socks.
No, sir.
You can't dispute that, can you?
No, sir.
And you see these socks?
Yes, sir.
Do they appear to be the socks that are in this other picture I just showed you?
Yes, sir.
You can see them there by the sweatpants.
Yes, sir.
What does that appear to you to be on the end of that sock?
I take it blood.
And that's the toe, is it not?
Yes, sir.
And if she had on shoes, the blood could not get on the toe of a sock.
No, sir.
I'd like to put these next to us.
Okay. What number that be?
192
Yeah.
and 193.
Thank you.
Now, when you're 4'11", that's without your shoes on.
That's with my shoes on.
That's with your shoes on?
Yes, sir. When I go to the doctor, I don't take my shoes off, so they normally give me about 4'11".
Well, do you know whether Miss Madden's, or excuse me, Miss Stewart's basketball height, whatever it is with her shoes on?
No, sir, I'm not sure.
You don't know?
No, sir.
Do you know that when the medical examiner measured her at 5'3", that she didn't have her shoes on? We do know that, don't we?
Yes, sir.
Would you say that she towered over you?
I would say.
How many inches?
I'm not sure, but she's taller than me, so everybody is a tower over me to me.
After you pushed her back in the shoulders, what happened then?
The fight started.
Okay, and when you say the fight started, I'm asking you, after you pushed her, did you try to hit her?
No, sir.
After you pushed her, did she try to hit you?
Yes, sir.
And where did she hit you?
She hit me in my face,
Where?
right around my eyes.
Well, are you saying did she hit you with both hands like that?
No, sir.
Or one hand?
One hand.
Do you know if she's right or left-handed?
No, sir, I'm not sure.
The injury was to this eye?
Yes, sir. I think. Not sure.
That would more or less indicate maybe a left, right? Let me say that again. Maybe a left hand, correct?
Probably.
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 Was she hitting you with both hands?
Eventually, she did hit me with both hands,
Were you fighting back?
as much as I could.
Were you inside the room?
Yes, sir.
You weren't scared of her when you pushed her, were you?
No, sir.
She hadn't done anything other than push you to make you afraid of her.
Yes, sir.
What?
The only thing she did was push me.
She didn't have anything in her hands,
No, sir.
and she had on a pair of sweatpants, correct?
Yes, sir.
No pockets.
No, sir.
You didn't see anything, any weapon of any kind on her, did you?
No, sir.
recall telling Mr. Taylor that she was banging your head?
Yes, sir.
What does that mean?
She was using her fist and beating me at the top of the head.
And on the top of the head?
Yes, sir.
And you told Detective Taylor that you were pounding her face?
Yes, sir.
What does that mean?
Hitting her as much as I could.
Well, you said pounding. That was your word. Tell us what that means.
Pounding to me means hitting
Yes, sir. So you were hitting her in the face.
as much as I could.
And she's hitting you on top of the head.
Yes, sir.
Now, your eyes on top of the head, are they?
No, sir.
And your nose it,
No, sir.
your mouth, your chin.
No, sir.
She's hitting you on top of the head, and you're hitting her in her eyes, nose, and mouth, aren't you? Or trying to.
To fight her off, yes, sir.
And where were you in the room when the fight was going on? Over in that area.
That's where I remember stabbing her at. But we were all over the room.
Okay, but that's where you remember stabbing.
Yes, sir.
You want me to draw that circle?
Please.
And do you agree that's the general area you indicated?
Yes, sir.
And I'm gonna put where stabbing occurred. Where did you get the knife?
Off the bed.
Where off the bed? So it was laying there on the corner of the bed.
Yes, sir.
What was on that bed
The sheets.
besides the knife? What kind of bedclothes or sheets or blankets or whatever?
Red or black sheets.
Pardon?
Red or black sheets.
Red and black sheets? Was there a comforter on that bed?
I take it was.
Was that knife laying on top of that comforter?
No, sir, it wasn't.
It wasn't.
No, sir.
Was it under it?
Was it under comfortable?
Yes.
No, sir. It was on top of the sheets.
It was laying on top of the sheets. Were there any blankets on the bed?
Not that I remember.
Stewart, I'm showing you exhibit number 90. And can you see that, please, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
And will you agree with me that that's the end of Tina Stewart's bed?
Yes, sir.
And that would be the same corner that you have indicated in this diagram?
Yes, sir.
And tell me what, and I'm going to show you now, Exhibit 91. Tell me what this and to me that's gray. Tell me what that is.
Like a comforter.
Pardon?
Like a comforter.
Okay, that's not a sheet, is it?
I say it was a sheet, but it's a comforter.
Okay. But that's a gray comforter, correct?
Yes, sir.
And do you recall Officer English testifying that she came to Miss Stewart's aid, and when she did, she found her lying in the area of this blood stain right here,
Yes, sir.
and that she reached up and pulled a white object off the bed, a large white cloth, to try to stop the bleeding?
Yes, sir.
Now, you saw Miss English.
Yes, sir.
Where would she have most likely reached up to pull that white comforter off the bed from?
I take it the bed. I'm not sure the area.
Well, if she's down at the foot of the bed like this picture shows where the blood is, wouldn't she be reaching up in this area right here?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure.
No, sir.
Did I? Exhibit 89. But in any event, that's where you say that the stabbing took place.
Yes, sir.
And you said that after you stabbed Miss Stewart, that she fell directly down?
She went backwards and then hit the ground.
Went backwards and hit the ground.
Yes, sir.
So she was stabbed in this area and fell back over at the corner of the bed.
Yes, sir.
And was she face up or face down?
Face down. Face down.
And was she standing up when she was stabbed?
She was over me.
Yes. She was standing over.
Yes, sir.
She wasn't bent down like this, was she?
No, sir.
And you told Detective Taylor that you were simply holding the knife like this,
Yes, sir.
and she more or less ran into it.
I didn't say ran into. I just said I held the knife like that.
I believe you later said that you just pushed it up.
Yes, sir.
And you know she was stabbed up here, don't you?
I've seen the pictures. So yes, sir.
Somewhere in this area up here.
Yes, sir.
And based on your height, the fact that she, according to you, towers over, you would have been pushing out and up to hit her up here. You had to, correct?
Probably.
Well, you were the one that did it. Tell me how it happened.
The way I remember stabbing Tina, she was over me, and I stabbed her once in the chest.
Okay. Show us how you just stand up, if I could ask the court's permission.
Sure. You stand up.
So
Stand up and demonstrate what you did.
Tina was standing over me, and I stabbed her once in the chest.
Okay. And were you holding the knife with one hand or both hands?
One hand.
Just one hand?
Yes, sir.
Your right hand?
Yes, sir.
Like that?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Would you say that your hand was about right here when you stabbed her, like you showed us? Or did you go more up?
If I was sitting, like leaning down, or she was over me, I just stabbed her. I'm not sure how my hand went. I just remember stabbing her.
Now, let me ask you, when you first picked up the knife, where was Miss Stewart?
She was still hitting me.
And were you on the floor?
I wasn't all the way on the floor, not bent down on the knee of the floor. She was over me.
And did you pick the knife up off the corner of the bed with your right hand or your left hand?
I take it my right hand since I used my right hand.
Okay. And did you say anything to her?
Besides pleading with her to let me go, that's the only thing that was said.
Now, Miss Madden, I asked you just a little while ago if you said anything else in the room there. And you said the only thing that you said was, why did you call the police on me?
I was referring to the conversation.
Okay. So you were pleading with her to let you go. What were you saying?
I told her, please stop, let me go.
Please stop, let me go.
Yeah.
How many times did you say that?
So many times that she just wasn't listening to me.
You said it loud too, didn't you?
I said it loud enough for her to hear me.
Because, as you said, she wasn't listening to you and you wanted to let her know to quit.
Yes, sir.
Please let me go.
Yes, sir.
When you knocked on Miss Stewart's door and went into her, or stepped into her room, she was talking on the phone, wasn't she?
Yes, sir.
And she had it up to her ear.
Yes, sir.
And which hand did she have it in?
I'm not sure.
You don't know. And when you said, why did you call the police on me, what did she do with the telephone?
I'm not sure.
You don't know.
No, sir.
And when she said, I want you to leave, do you know where her phone was then?
No, sir.
When she pushed you really hard, where was her phone then?
I'm not sure.
But you do know now that there was somebody on the phone she was talking to.
I knew she was on the phone at the time, but I'm not sure.
Well, you heard Scooter Macklin testify, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
And you heard her say that she heard some conversation in this altercation.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember her ever testifying that she heard anybody say, stop, or please let me go, please let me go? Do you recall her saying that she ever heard that?
She didn't testify that she did, but I'm sure I did say that.
But she didn't hear it.
No, sir.
And Miss Renee Reese was right next door sitting on your bed in that room.
Yes, sir.
And did you hear her testify that she ever heard any statements, let me go, stop,
Renee
let me
did.
go?
Renee did hear me screaming.
Yep, but did you hear her say that she heard any statements like that?
She heard me say, please stop my heart, my heart. That was me that she was referring to.
Oh, that was you that was talking about, please stop my heart, my heart.
Yes, sir.
Why were you concerned about your heart if you were getting hit on top of your head?
My heart felt like it was about to pop out my chest. That's how I felt. I felt that scared, like I wasn't expecting all that.
So in addition to saying, stop, please let me go, you said, stop, my heart. You said that too?
I did.
How many times did you say that?
As many times as I said, let me go.
And did Miss Stewart ever have this knife in her hand?
No, sir.
Who said, call 911, she's got a knife?
I'm not sure. Renee heard that more than I did.
You didn't hear that?
No, sir.
You didn't say it though, did you?
No, sir. I don't remember Tina saying it either.
And if Miss Stewart was content on trying to beat you up and injure you like you said she was, why would she want to call the police?
She might would have said it after I stabbed her once, but I'm not sure.
You don't know?
No, sir.
Stabbed in the chest, correct?
Correct.
Where's the heart?
On the other side of her chest.
But it's in the chest here. It's not up here.
Yes, sir.
Did you say anything else?
Besides pleading with her, I didn't say anything else.
And you said that after you stabbed her, one time she fell back on the floor face down.
She did, but she also had other wounds and cuts that I wasn't aware of until after I seen the pictures.
You weren't aware of those when you told Detective Taylor you only stabbed her one time, was you?
Nope, I only remember stabbing her once at the time.
And you don't know how, if you were doing like this, you could have cut her on the back of her shoulder,
The
back of her head.
only thing I came up with at the time was the one stab. And I'm not sure. We could have been fighting with a knife, and I'm not realizing I had the knife in my hand before I stabbed her or I cut her and didn't realize I did that.
Wait a minute. Are you telling us now you didn't realize that you had the knife in your hand?
I'm saying as far as the other cuts and wounds, I could have had the knife in my hand and fighting with her and not realizing I did it.
You didn't, after she fell down, you didn't touch her anymore, did you?
No, sir, I didn't.
Because you told us that the way that blood got on your hand is that she was falling, you reached out, she fell down and you reached out and touched her.
I reached out and...
If you would step out and show us what you did when you touched her to get blood on your hand.
Tina was standing here and she was falling and I held her like this and she fell to the ground.
I'm sorry.
Tina was standing here and I grabbed onto her and she fell to the ground.
Backwards.
She was going backwards and I caught her before she fell.
You caught her.
Yes, sir.
Where?
Before she fell to the ground.
Okay, but I'm saying, what part of her body did you touch?
I touched her, like her waistline or area,
And with both hands?
with both hands.
And you opened your hands up, grabbed her waist.
Yes, sir.
Did the knife fall down?
No, I was holding on to her and grabbed the knife before she could fall, and I dropped the knife on the floor, and she fell to the ground.
Okay, so you had to get down there and pick the knife up off the floor?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Did you ever go past the end of the bed, right, either the side of the bed, this is what I'm saying, the end, but the side of the bed right here? Or was it all the fight pretty much in this circle you've indicated?
That's where the stabbing occurred, but the fight was all over the room.
The fight was all over the room?
Yes, sir.
And that's where the stabbing occurred?
Yes, sir.
And when she was stabbed, she went straight down?
After she tilted back, she did.
Let me show you exhibit number 88. Ask you to look at that and tell me if you remember seeing that photograph in this case.
Yes, sir.
And do you see this item here, and it's marked in this photograph with a placard with number 17?
Yes, sir.
That's a trash can, is it not? A plastic trash can?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember being over in that area?
That's the way Tina's body went towards after she was stabbed.
Oh, over there?
Yes, sir.
Is that where she fell down?
No, sir. She was falling in that area when I caught her.
She was headed to that area when you caught her. Are you telling us she's the one that turned that garbage can over?
I'm not sure if the garbage can was turned over before the fight or during the stabbing.
Well, did you ever go over in that area to fight?
We were all over the room when we were fighting.
So you're saying...
Yes, sir.
Now, and you're all over the room.
Yes, sir.
Well, this chair is not knocked over, is it?
No, sir.
This computer's not knocked over, is it?
No, sir.
I don't know what this is, but whatever it is, it's not knocked over, is it?
No, sir.
The covers on the bed aren't disturbed, are they?
No, sir.
That you can see. And I'm going to show you now exhibit number 87. Being all over the room, this TV's not knocked over, is it?
No, sir.
And look at all these photographs on top of this chest of drawers. They're not knocked over, are they?
No, sir.
This chair is not disturbed here, is it?
Can't see the chair.
The red chair? I'm sorry.
No, sir.
Other than that garbage can, it doesn't appear that anything's out of place. The garbage can, a Subway cup, and a McDonald's sack.
Yes, sir.
Those are the only things that appear really to be out of place, aren't they?
Yes, sir.
And you heard Mr. Finley testify, did you not?
I did.
And you heard him testify that based upon his observations, his looking at the scene of the stabbing and looking at the blood spatter and things of that nature, you heard him testify that in his opinion, the stabbing took place over here.
Yes, sir, I did.
And that's a long way from over here, isn't it?
I wouldn't say it's that long, but it's a distance.
Well, if the stabbing took place in the circle that you indicated, based on what you heard Mr. Finley testify, you see some blood on this blanket, shouldn't we? On the bed.
Possible.
Yes, ma'am. And we should see some blood on the floor, some blood spat on the floor. Correct?
Possible.
And you heard him say that based upon his examination of the blood, that it appeared that Miss Stewart had blood in her mouth and would have spit it out, and there would impact stain on that McDonald's sack. But there's no impact stains in this circle, are there?
No, sir, it wasn't.
Do you dispute what Mr. Finley had to say?
And as far as I remember, just how I remember it.
May I make an inquiry?
Yes.
I don't know how much longer I've got, Judge, but we're going to keep rolling.
Yes, sir.
Everybody's okay? Anybody need to take a break? We're okay? If you do, that's okay. All right, we'll keep going.
Ms. Madden, you've told us also that you don't know how these other injuries got on Miss Stewart.
No, I did not.
Did you hear both Mr. Finley and Dr. McMaster testify that in addition to this stab wound in the chest, that Miss Stewart had what Dr. McMaster described as a stab wound in her hairline on this side of her head?
Yes, sir.
You recall that?
Yes, sir.
And that she had another stab wound on her shoulder
Yes, sir.
and another wound, and she couldn't classify it as a stab wound, but it was somewhere on her upper arm.
Yes, sir.
And as I've indicated to you, that would be her left arm, her left shoulder, and the left side of the back of her head.
Yes, sir.
Now, would you agree with me also, Miss Stewart, that even though, Miss Madden, that even though Miss Stewart was 4, 5, 6, ever how many inches taller she was than you, that if you raise up your hand, that's above her head and above her chest?
No, sir, I wouldn't.
So you're saying that she was taller than you are with your hand up in the air?
I'm not sure how it would look if it was me and her doing that.
But you will agree with me that when your hand's up in the air, it's higher than this right here. won't it?
Yes, sir, I would.
Now, after Miss Stewart was stabbed, and you said you saw that the knife was bent, is that when you reached down to pick it up?
Yes, sir, to use it on myself.
And what were you trying to do?
I wanted to die. I just did that to Tina, and I didn't want to do it. I wasn't expecting all that one day.
And wanting to die, like you told us that you have, what steps did you take to kill yourself?
After I looked at Tina's motionless body, I just got scared and nervous and didn't know what to do. And I looked at the knife on the floor and I picked it up.
Okay.
And it was bent, so I tried to unbend it so I could stab myself.
Okay.
And to this day, I wish I did.
And
Even if I had to use another knife, I wanted to kill myself. I wish I would have did it.
But you couldn't because the knife was bent.
It was bent, and I couldn't have done it.
Do you remember seeing a photograph of a block of knives on the kitchen stove with 4 in it, 3 or 4?
Yes, sir.
You know that you threw 2 others away, no bending on them, nothing wrong, no broken handle,
Yes, sir.
right? There were other knives not only in the drawer, but also in the dishwasher,
Yes, sir.
correct? Why didn't you use one of them?
That's around the time Renee left me, and I just didn't know what to do, so I just got scared and started grabbing things.
Well, why wasn't one of the things you grabbed one of those knives to kill yourself?
At that point, the suicide stopped. It just stopped.
All right?
And I wish it hadn't. I wish I did use that
All right.
knife.
So the thoughts of suicide had stopped by the time you saw the knife was bent. You never thought to go to the kitchen.
No, sir.
But you did think to get a clear black plastic bag and put Miss Stewart's bloody Tinkerbell blanket in it.
I did.
And where was that blanket in the room?
On the floor by the bed.
So that's why it has blood on it,
Yes, sir.
because it was on the floor by the bed?
And I had blood on my hands and my arms, so I did wash the blanket. Use the blanket.
And we won't ever know where that blanket was, will we?
No, sir.
I mean, by that, we don't have a picture of that.
No, sir.
We have your word to take for it.
Yes, sir.
And when you say it was at the end of the bed, we are to believe.
Yes, sir.
And you put that in a bag along with the knife, didn't you?
Yes, sir, I did.
You were thinking then.
I was a little
And
bit more.
Miss Renee Reese was still there.
She was.
So, but your thoughts of suicide have subsided at that point?
It wasn't gone completely. I just couldn't be successful with the knife, so I didn't know what else to do.
Well, we've seen some pictures of your body, and you're aware that there are a whole lot of other pictures of your body that haven't been shown to this jury,
Yes, sir.
that were made it to jail.
Yes, sir.
You've looked at them.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Brandon has them.
Yes, sir.
In any one of those pictures, are there any injuries that were caused by you trying to hurt yourself with that bent knife?
I didn't see any.
Well, did you try to hurt yourself with that bent knife?
I did, and it went unbent, so I never was successful.
Now, what do you mean you did, but it wouldn't unbend?
I couldn't get it to unbend to
So,
stab
but
myself.
you never tried to stab yourself or cut yourself with it, did you?
No, sir.
What is it about a bent knife that makes it impossible to cut your wrist?
The way I remember it being bent, it was bent at the tip of it, and it was curled, so I couldn't unbend it.
How did it get broken?
I'm not sure.
Did you break it?
I'm not sure.
Well, you were the one that had it. Other than you, do you know anybody else in the world that can tell this jury how that knife got broken?
Only me, but I'm not sure how it got bent or broken.
Okay, so you can't tell us how it got broken.
No, sir.
And you said that the end was curled around.
Yes, sir.
And you've seen that knife
Yes,
in
sir.
this courtroom. Have you seen Mr. Brandon take that knife up to any witness that's testified and ask them to show that tip being curled around?
Not that it was curled, but that's how I remember it being curled.
But you've seen it too, haven't you? It's not curled, is it?
Yeah, I have seen it too.
And
But
it's not curled, is it?
But I remember it being curled after the fact.
So when it was in your hands, it was curled, but since then it has managed to become uncurled?
I guess you could say that.
But you put the blanket and the knife in the bag. Miss Reese is still there because she testified, did she not, that she saw you do that?
She did.
And you said you asked her to hold it.
I did.
You asked her to take it, didn't you?
I did.
What did you want her to do with it?
She just held it.
Pardon?
She just held it. I wasn't asking her to throw it away. I just told her to hold it.
And did she hold it?
She did.
did you hear her testify that she didn't want to hold it because she didn't want her fingerprints on it?
I heard her say that.
But that's not true.
No, sir, it wasn't.
She did hold it.
Yes, sir.
And when you handed it to her, what did you say to her?
I just told her to hold it.
Okay, here, hold this.
Yes, sir.
And what did you do?
I went back into the kitchen.
Where all the rest of the knives were?
Yes, sir.
And you told us just a minute ago the reason you didn't kill yourself is because Miss Reese had left. And yet now you're telling us here you are in the kitchen with an array of cutlery. Miss Reese is still there and you didn't kill yourself.
At that point, the only thing I put in the garbage bag was the knife with the blanket.
Right. And isn't it a fact, Miss Madden, that you want this jury to believe that you wanted to kill yourself because you're looking to get sympathy from this jury and make them feel bad for you?
No, sir, but that's what happened.
But you can't tell us why you didn't do it.
I can't.
You can't tell us why you didn't even try to do it.
I tried, and I
Did
just
you ever
couldn't
tell Miss
undo
Reese,
it.
I want to die, I want to die?
She wasn't listening to me anyway. The only thing on her mind was leaving at that point, so I was alone.
She wasn't listening to you.
No, she wasn't.
Then why did you say, hold this? Did she do it?
That's the only thing on Renee's mind at that point was to leave.
Where did she put the bag down when she left?
Outside.
Outside?
It was.
So she took the bag outside the apartment.
It was outside in front of the door of the apartment.
Mr. Watts, could you, Mr. Brandon, step up for a second? Glad you'll hold this. We'll go ahead and break for lunch now. We'll start back at 1:20. If you'll be sure to leave your legal pads and pens there. Remember my instructions to you not to discuss the case or even when discussing your presence. All right, everybody rise, please. Hope you'll have a nice lunch. I'll see y'all back at 1:20. Reflect all our jurors have returned, and now you can continue with your cross-examination, Mr. Watson.
Miss Madden, when we left off earlier, I believe I'd asked you about putting the blanket and the knife in the bag. And you had given that to Miss Reese. She set it outside. Is that when she was leaving?
Yes, sir, it was.
Tell me what happened next.
After she left, I was all over the place. My mind, scared. I just couldn't think right. So I just grabbed the knives. I grabbed them.
And when you say grab the knives, which knives are you talking about?
The other two that were in the dumpster with the knife that was wrapped in a blanket.
And do those two knives match the knife that was bent, the one used to stab Miss Stewart?
Yes, sir, I believe so.
Is that why you grabbed them?
No, sir, I didn't. That's not the reason why I grabbed them.
Why did you grab them?
I just couldn't tell you.
I need you to speak up just a little bit or get a little bit close to that microphone, okay? I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead and finish your answer.
I couldn't tell you. The time I spent doing all that, I could have been saving Tina. I could have saved her. I could have helped her. I could have called for help. I could have told someone, and I just didn't do it, and I wished I had saved Tina. I just wished it all didn't happen. It changed everybody's life, not just mine. Her family, they don't have their daughter. They don't have her, and I'm sorry I didn't help her. I'm just sorry. I'm sorry I didn't help her. I'm sorry she's not here with you today. I'm sorry that I'm here and she's not. If it could have been the other way around, if I could have taken my life, I would have did it at that moment, and I wish I had did it. I wish this day I had did it. And it won't change anything because she's not going to be here.
And the answer to my question is, why did you decide to take those two knives? You can't ask us or answer that.
No, I really can't.
you can't tell us why you took those two as opposed to the two that are shown here in exhibit number 38 that are in the dishwasher?
No, sir, I do not.
You can't tell us why you took those two as opposed to these three knives that are in the block in the refrigerator?
No, sir.
And those are labeled 9, 10, and 11. That's exhibit 27. And you can't tell us why you took those two knives as opposed to those two knives or these two knives that were in the drawer in the kitchen shown with placard number 8 in exhibit 28, can you?
No, sir.
But you will agree with me that the two knives that were in the dumpster matched the knife that was used to kill Miss Stewart,
Yes, sir.
and also matched this knife that was in the dishwasher.
Yes, sir.
Now, did you take, well, after you got the two knives and put them, what did you put them in?
I'm not sure. I think I put it in the bag with the blanket, the two knives.
And when did you get Miss Stewart's jacket?
The only other time I was in her room was when I picked up the blanket. That's the only time I remember, but I'm not sure.
And you know that jacket had blood on it.
Yes, sir.
Did you see the blood on the jacket when you picked it up?
No, sir, I do not remember it.
Why did you, if you didn't see blood on it, why did you pick it up as opposed to the other articles of clothing that were in Miss Stewart's room?
I'm not sure.
You don't know that either?
No, sir.
And when did you get Miss Stewart's cell phone?
I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I don't remember having a phone. The only thing I remember is having my phone and my belongings, my music and my phone in my hand and in my bra. I don't remember taking a phone at all. But I'm sure it was me because I was the only one there.
Okay. And so you can't explain that to the jury.
No, sir.
Did you throw the blanket and the bent knife and the other two knives away and then come back and throw the jacket away in the dumpster? Or was that all at the same time?
Went to the dumpster one time.
You only went to the dumpster one time?
Yes, sir.
You can remember that today?
Yes, sir, I'm sure.
But back on the night that this happened, you couldn't remember to tell Detective Taylor about the jacket or the bent knife or the blanket, correct?
I couldn't, not at the time.
Can you explain to the jury why that bra was in the dumpster?
I'm not sure. I don't remember the bra until it was shown to me in video.
You don't remember?
No.
Where would was that your bra?
It didn't look like my bra.
Pardon?
It didn't look like my bra.
It didn't?
No, sir.
You don't know where that came from?
No, sir.
Do you know if you threw it in the dumpster, if that was just a bra that was in the dumpster?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure about that either?
No, sir.
Now, did you throw these items that we've discussed away before or after? Well, let me withdraw that. I believe you told me that when you and Miss Reese were there, when you first, or shortly after arriving there, you put some clothes in the washing machine.
I did.
And tell us, if you remember, what you put in the washing machine or what amount of clothing you put in the washing machine.
It wasn't a lot. I didn't have that many clothes that was left over there, but what I did have, I did wash.
And did you bring any clothes back with you to wash?
No, sir.
So whatever was in the washing machine was what was there in the apartment?
Yes, sir.
Those in the washing machine, and had they finished being washed when the officer came, or were they still in the process of being washed?
They were done washing.
And had you put them in the dryer?
Before the officer got there, I did.
Okay. And then can you tell us about how long they've been in the dryer when the officer got there?
Probably 30 minutes or so.
Probably 30 minutes?
Yes, sir.
And the officer was there how long?
No more than about 5 minutes.
Okay. And then the confrontation between you and Miss Stewart probably took what, 2 minutes, 3?
Probably about 2 or 3.
And after that was over, were the clothes still in the dryer?
After
After Miss Stewart was stabbed,
no, sir, they wouldn't.
where were they?
I was in the process of getting them out afterwards.
After she was stabbed?
No, after the policeman came,
Okay, so you were in the process of getting them out, and what were you doing with them?
I was packing for spring break.
Were they still damp?
Yes, they were.
Why would you not put them back in the dryer and keep drying?
I didn't. I'm not sure.
Well, let me see if I understand. You took damp clothes out of the dryer and you were putting them in the bag that we've seen here,
Yes, sir.
and you were rolling them up, correct?
Correct.
And you were putting them in that bag so you could go on spring break on Friday,
Yes, sir.
because that's when your father was coming to get you.
Yes, sir.
Are you telling this jury that you were putting damp clothes in a bag and going to let them sit there for 2 days?
They weren't going to stay there. They were going with me. I was going back to Carlicia after.
Well, were you
I got
going
done.
to dry them when you got back over there?
I was.
Do they have a dryer over there?
Yes, sir.
Do they have a washer over there?
Yes, sir.
Why didn't you go over there and wash and dry?
Because we were there to smoke too and wash my clothes.
So the bag was already packed before
It was already
the
packed.
officer got there?
Yes, sir.
And where was the bag?
In the kitchen.
And did he search that bag?
No, sir.
Those clothes don't have any blood on them, do they?
I don't believe so. It shouldn't.
Well, did you wash your hands after at any time?
No, sir.
Do you remember Miss Reese saying that you had a lot of blood on your arm and you told her you'd cut your arm?
Yes, sir.
So there was obviously enough blood on your arm and hands that it was obvious to her.
Yes, sir.
But you're telling us that at no time did you ever wash your hands or your arm?
I didn't. Besides, I didn't wash it with water. I washed it with the blanket I had with the knife.
Okay. So the blood on that blanket is what you used to wipe your arms off
Yes, sir.
and also to wipe the knife off.
Yeah. I don't remember washing the knife. I just remember washing my arm.
Wiping your hands and arms.
Yes, sir.
And that's the reason you threw that away?
No, sir.
Well, why did you throw it away?
I didn't know what to do. I was scared.
Well, why didn't you leave it laying on the floor?
I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know. I just don't. I just get so scared.
Well, you said you were scared and nervous.
I was.
Have you heard anybody that saw you after this, after the stabbing, that's described you as acting nervous or scared?
I don't believe so.
Do you remember calling for Carlicia?
Yes, sir.
And what did you ask her to do?
I told her to come get me.
And you've seen the records.
Yes, sir.
You don't dispute the times.
Yes, sir.
And did you tell her to come get you ASAP?
I told her I needed her ASAP. I just told her to come get me when I talked to her on the phone.
And did she have a car?
Yes, sir, she did.
And did she come get you?
No, she didn't come get me. She came outside, but she didn't come get me.
Okay. But had you earlier tried to get Renee Reese to come to give you a ride with her friends?
No, sir.
You heard her testify. Do you remember seeing Miss Reese outside the apartment?
At the funeral home, yes, sir.
Pardon?
At the funeral home, yes, sir.
And do you remember texting her and asking her, did you leave?
Yes, sir.
Why would you do that?
Because she left me.
Yes.
She left me there, and I just didn't understand why she left me.
Well,
That was my reason for calling Carlisha.
but the question wasn't why did you leave? The question was, did you leave?
I asked her, did she leave me? And I talked to her.
You talked to her on the phone,
Yes, sir.
and she told you where she was?
Yes, sir.
Is that how you knew where to go?
Yes, sir.
And do you dispute the fact that at that point you had the cell phone, Miss Stewart's cell phone in your bra?
I don't remember it.
What else did you have in there?
I only remember having my iPhone and my cell phone and the black and miles in my bra.
The what?
The black and miles in my bra.
The cigars.
Yes, sir.
And had they been in your bra the whole time?
After the policeman left, or before he got there, it was.
Did you tell him that you had those there?
He knew.
Did he see them?
Yes, sir.
Now, when you went over to where Miss Reese was at the funeral home, did somebody come pick her up?
I'm not sure.
You weren't there when she left?
No, sir.
Where did you go?
Back to the apartment?
And did you have your bag with you when you went over there?
No, sir.
And when you got back to the apartment, what did you do?
I went back upstairs and called my mom.
All right. And your mother, and did you have a conversation with her?
Yes, sir.
What did you tell her?
I told her I was in a fight with my roommate, but I didn't tell her about the stabbing.
So you didn't tell her everything, did you?
No.
And where was Miss Stewart when you called your mother?
She was sitting on the floor, helpless, and I didn't help her, and I'm sorry.
We understand that. How do you know she was still in the room? Had you gone back in there to check?
I did.
Was
and
that
I still
before or
didn't
after
help
you
her.
called your mother?
While I was on the phone with my mother.
Now, you told us earlier that you missed your parents.
Yes, sir.
Why is it you couldn't tell your mother the truth?
I didn't know how to tell her.
You didn't tell her you'd been in a fight and you were in fear of your life and that you'd had to stab Miss Stewart, did you?
I didn't tell her. I didn't tell her.
You didn't tell Renee Reese that you were in fear for your life and had to stab Miss Stewart, did you?
No, sir.
And you didn't tell Miss Caldwell that you were in fear of your life or serious bodily injury and had to stab Miss Stewart, did you?
No, sir.
And you didn't call 911, did you?
No, sir.
You told Detective Taylor that you were going to call the campus police but couldn't find the number.
Yes, sir.
Was that your intention?
It was, but it would have been so easy to just call 911.
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
sorry. I'm sorry.
In fact, Miss Stewart had asked somebody to call 911, hadn't she?
I'm not sure.
You could have done that,
I could have helped her.
but you didn't.
I'm sorry, I didn't help her.
You turned off the light and you shut the door.
I did.
And you went back to check and see if she was still breathing.
I did. No, I still didn't help her, and I'm sorry. I didn't help her. I didn't help her. And I could have helped her.
You said that Mr. Newman who came, he just walked in the apartment
He did.
and you were there.
Yes, sir.
Were you getting ready to leave?
No, sir.
You weren't?
No, sir.
Why was your bedroom door locked?
My bedroom door was unlocked when Renee was there, and
I'm talking about Mr. Newman.
I never remember locking it.
And your bathroom door was locked.
I never opened it.
Pardon?
I never opened it when I came to the apartment.
And so it was locked from when you came there?
Yes, sir.
But you would have had to open your bedroom door to go in there.
I remember it being open. I'm not sure when and what time did I lock it.
Well, you said you were packing and you were going to Carlicia's. Were you going to lock the apartment when you left?
I'm not sure. It was so much stuff on my mind, I'm not sure.
Well, did you have the keys?
I don't remember.
Did you have all of your clothes?
The ones that was at the apartment, I think I did, but most of them was at Carlicia already.
Now, when Mr. Anuna came and you described him coming in and going back to the room and he turned on the light and you were following him down the hall, were you trying to stop him from going in the room?
No, sir.
You weren't scared of him then, were you? Pardon? Can you answer the question?
I only got scared of him when he started chasing after me. It wasn't nothing to be scared of at that point. Besides, I just didn't know what happened. I was puzzled. I didn't know what happened.
You didn't know what happened?
I didn't.
How is it you didn't know what happened then, but you didn't have any trouble telling this jury today what happened?
I had time to think about it, time to process it, time to remember it. And it's not that easy to remember it after it happened.
Well, you've said that you've had time to think about it and remember, and yet there are a lot of things that I've asked you that you say you can't remember.
I just can't remember it.
But you can remember the fight.
I can't remember
You can
anything.
remember being in fear, correct?
Sir.
And you know that in order to have a self-defense, in this case, that you have to be in fear of death or serious bodily injury.
Because I was feared.
And tell the jury which injury you sustained made you fear serious bodily injury.
I was in pain. My eye was hurting. My body was sore.
Now, your eye, you mentioned that you have a problem with your eye, that you have to wear glasses,
Yes, sir.
and that you had broken your glasses. When had your glasses been broken?
They were broken around November, December.
Okay. So they had been broken for some 3 to 4 months,
About.
and you were at home over the Christmas holidays, correct?
Yes, sir.
Why didn't you get your glasses that you needed then if your eye was bothering?
I couldn't afford to get them at that time, so I had to wait till I came home from spring break.
Had you been having problems with your eye all week?
Yes, sir.
Had you gone to the doctor?
Normally I wouldn't go to the doctor. I just take Tylenol or aspirin or something, and it'll calm me down after a while.
Do you remember the police hollering at you?
No, sir.
You don't?
No, sir.
Why did you tell Mr. Brandon the reason you stopped was because you heard the man say police?
The beginning, I didn't remember him behind me. The only person I heard was Casey.
Right.
And after a while, I realized it wasn't him behind me. It was the police.
And you stopped?
Eventually, I stopped.
And did you tell him what happened?
No, sir.
Why?
I didn't want to believe it happened, so I didn't tell him what happened.
As a matter of fact, when given the opportunity, you denied it, correct?
I did, and I wish I hadn't.
You've seen the statements,
Yes, sir.
and Mr. Taylor was nice to you, wasn't he?
He was.
Tell us when your bra got torn.
During the fight.
It wasn't torn before that?
No, sir.
Or unseen? You know that it's just where the thread of the seam has come out?
Yes, sir.
And are you saying that Miss Stewart grabbed your bra?
Yes, sir.
You remember that?
I knew it wasn't torn. It wasn't torn before the fight, and it wasn't torn when I was in class, so it was torn during the fight.
Wasn't torn when you were putting her cell phone in it or your iPad or any of that other stuff?
It was torn by then. It was already torn after the fight.
Okay. But it wasn't torn because of you putting things in there?
No, sir.
That is the bra you had on during the fight?
Yes, sir.
It wasn't that bra you threw in the dumpster that didn't have a tear, and you didn't go back and get the bra that did have a tear and put that on before the police got there?
No, sir.
The man with the dreadlocks, does that person exist?
No, sir. I lied to the police.
And why did you pick a man with dreadlocks?
I don't know. I should have just told him the truth from the beginning.
Pardon?
I should have told him the truth from the beginning.
And after Mr. Taylor gave you the opportunity on several occasions to tell the truth, he just outright told you that he didn't believe you, you still didn't tell him what happened, did you?
No, sir.
And then after he came in and took swabs of your hands, you had the opportunity when he said you had blood on your hands to tell him, and then you didn't, did you?
No, sir.
As a matter of fact, Miss Madden, let me ask you this. In addition to the blood on your hands, you've seen those pictures. There wasn't a lot of blood on there, was there?
No, sir.
There appears to be something black on your hands. Do you know what that is?
No, sir.
Is that where your hands were on the asphalt when you were trying to crawl under the Mustang?
I'm not sure.
You've seen the dirt on the front of your pants. When the police officer set you down on the ground, you sat on your behind, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
You didn't put your knee down or the front of your pants down, did you?
I'm not sure.
Is that dirt from where you were crawling under that car?
I remember crawling. I remember hiding behind the car.
Okay. Would you agree with me that the dirt was, I'm going to show you exhibit number, I think this is all one exhibit, is it not? A picture that's in the envelope marked exhibit 187, and ask you to look at that and tell me if you recognize that as being you wearing the blue jeans you had on this particular evening.
Yes, sir.
And that dirt is on the left side of your pants, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And then another picture, do you recognize that photograph as being your left hand?
Yes, sir.
And do you see what appears to be black or dark splotches or marks on your hand?
Yes, sir.
And is that from where you crawled on the asphalt?
No, sir.
It's not?
It looked like dirt to me.
Pardon?
It just looked like dirt to me.
Do you know where you would have gotten that dirt on your hands?
I was sitting on the curb, and I was sitting hiding behind the car.
And you say you were hiding behind the car, some people testified you were trying to crawl under the car.
Yeah, I heard, but I remember hiding behind the car.
Okay. That's not where you got this scratch on your eye, is it?
No, sir.
Miss Madden, you told us a while ago you went to the dumpster one time, and when the police were asking you about where those knives were, you didn't tell them, did you?
No, sir, I couldn't remember.
You couldn't remember?
No, sir.
Could you remember Renee Reese's name?
No, sir.
You couldn't?
What? I called her Renee most of the time, but I don't know why I called her Nene that night.
You told the police that you didn't know her first name or her last name, but you called her Nene, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
And isn't it true, Miss Madden, that the reason you didn't want the police to know what her name was because then they would be able to find her and question her about what she had seen or heard inside the apartment during Miss Stewart's stabbing?
No,
Isn't
sir.
that why you didn't tell them?
No, sir. I wasn't trying to hide it. I was just scared. I didn't know what to do.
You and Miss Stewart were engaged in mutual combat, weren't you?
Yes, sir.
She wasn't armed, was she?
No, sir.
Ma'am?
No, sir.
And it took place in her room, did it not?
It did.
And it took place after she had asked you to leave
It did.
and, in fact, had pushed you out of her room into the hall, correct?
Correct.
And you went back in with the intent to push and fight.
I didn't.
And you cannot point to any injury that is serious other than you say that you were in pain, correct?
They might didn't seem serious, but they were hurting me. It hurt. My body hurt it. And it felt serious to me. And I wouldn't do it if I didn't think I was in danger.
And you never ran out of the room, did you?
I couldn't. At that point, we were fighting.
You couldn't turn and run out that open door?
Not when we started fighting, I couldn't.
But
She
you
had me by
managed to get to
then.
the bed and get a knife?
It just hit me so fast, I didn't mean I hurt it. I'm sorry, I hurt it.
That wasn't my
Didn't do
question,
it.
whether you meant to or not. Are you telling this jury you didn't mean to stab her?
There's the only way I could get her off of me. She wasn't listening
Well,
to
you
my
didn't
plea.
hurt her then. Get her off of you, didn't you?
I did.
And that's why you took the knife and stuck her, isn't it?
I'm sorry, I can't change what happened. I can't.
You're not going to answer any more of my questions much, are you? Isn't it true, Miss Madden, that you were, because Miss Stewart had called the police on you, you were mad, just like Miss Renee Reese said. You came back to that apartment with the intention of going to her room and confronting. That on the way down the hall, you grabbed a knife and stuck it inside of your bra. You went to the door and tried to open it, but it was locked. And you knocked on the door, and when Miss Stewart or whoever opened it, you asked her why she called the police on you.
They didn't
And
happen
when
like
she
that.
said that you had snitched on her, that you went after her, isn't that what happened?
No, sir.
And didn't you back her over into the wall up against her computer desk where Mr. Finley said that she suffered the fatal wound?
No, sir, it didn't happen like
That
that.
didn't happen?
No, sir.
And she didn't, and that blood spatter over there, just, you don't know how it got over there.
No, sir, I don't, but it didn't
And
happen
where
like
she
that.
was bleeding in her mouth and impact stain on that McDonald's sack, that wasn't where the stabbing took place?
No, sir.
And she didn't turn after she'd been stabbed in the chest to try to get away from you, and you stabbed 3 more times, getting her arm, the back of her head, and her shoulder on her left side as she turned away from you to try to protect herself. That didn't happen.
No, sir, it didn't. It didn't happen like that.
And afterwards you came out and you lied to Miss Reese about what had happened, correct?
I did tell her the truth. I didn't.
You told her you'd been cut, and that wasn't true.
It
You
wasn't.
told her that Tina was all right, and that wasn't true.
It wasn't.
And you never attempted to call 911 or call the police, did you?
No, I wish I did, but I
And you
didn't.
told this jury you wanted to kill yourself, but what you wanted to do was survive, and you were looking out for number one. You were looking out for yourself. You tried to destroy evidence. You took her cell phone, the only lifeline that she had, correct?
I'm
You
sorry.
shut her door and put the light out so she would be in the dark. Isn't that correct?
I'm sorry. I
And
can't change what I did.
after stabbing her and knowing that she was bleeding, you let her bleed to death and left her back there and made sure nobody would find her until you were sure she was dead, at which time you were going to take your bag and leave. Isn't that what happened?
That's not what I wanted to happen.
And
It
you
didn't
called
happen
your
like
friend to
that.
come pick you up so you could flee the scene, correct?
No, not the
And
freedom
you
to
called your mother so she would come to Memphis so you could get out of Murfreesboro and back to Memphis before the police knew who had done this. Isn't that what you wanted to happen?
No, sir, that's not what I wanted to happen.
But that's what the facts suggest in this case, isn't it?
It might do, but that's not what I wanted to happen.
That's all the questions I have.
Questions, Mr. Grant?
Yes, sir.
Any questions from our jurors? Not saying any, thank you, ma'am. You can step down.